Hey everyone, Vanessa here, alcoholic. My sobriety date's October 8th, 2017, and Happy New Year. So sorry I dropped off the face of the earth at the end of December there. I ended up, after my birthday, the holidays rolled around, I got really, really sick for a week, and it wasn't really fun. And also I had lost my book. I don't know if you guys remember, but don't worry, I just found it right now, and it just so happened to have makeup on, so I'm like, hey, I'm gonna start recording again. So here we go. January 11th, what happens is I'm going to read from this book, Keep It Simple. I'm going to read, I'm going to reflect on it, and then I'm going to read on it again. And I encourage you to write down any thoughts or any experience that you've had with the reading in the comments so I can hear from you. And I have a bunch of comments still to reply to, which I'm going to get to. But I really do like reading everybody's experience. It just helps to remind me that we're honestly all in this together. So that's right. Okay, January 11th. If there's a harder way of doing something, someone will find it. Ralph E. Ross. When we used alcohol or other drugs, we did most things the hard way. We could turn a simple task into a day-long project. We could turn a simple problem into an argument. We were creative giants in doing things the hard way. We need to change this. We deserve easier lives. It's okay to take the smooth road. In our program, we have slogans for this. Keep it simple, let go, and let God. First things first, and easy does it. These slogans remind us that it's okay to live with as little trouble as possible. Prayer for the day. Higher power, show me how to live a simple life. I don't have to do everything the hard way if I listen better to you. Action for the day. I'll list 3 or 4 things I can do that make my life harder than it needs to be, and I'll share them with a friend. All right. I thought about this a lot in my recovery. Think about all the things that you were able to pull off in your addiction. Like, for example, in my alcoholism, I was still maintaining a full-time job, no, 2 jobs. And also I was paying my own bills. I was living out in San Diego by myself. I didn't really know anybody besides coworkers, and really excelled at work, actually. And I did a really good job at it to the point where I was getting promotions and raises. And I just remember that time also being incredibly chaotic and being super stressful, right? And it's because I was managing these works and overworking these jobs to appear good because I was so blackout drunk the majority of the time. And it was like, I felt like I had to work harder, I had to work longer hours, I had to get things right. I was a huge perfectionist, you guys, which is, if you know me now on a day-to-day basis, is laughable. To consider that I was ever a perfectionist is just, I'm grateful that is not part of my identity now, because it was just a cage that I had built for myself. And it was one of the most suffocating and smallest and restrictive cages that I could have put myself in, to always want to appear normal, right? And I pulled it off for a good majority of the time. But the thing is that I thought that life always had to be that difficult. Literally everything was so difficult for me all the time. And I just remember thinking, like, and I had so many people around me telling me and giving me solid advice that a normal brain would be able to absorb, compute, put into action, take. And I just wasn't capable of taking very solid, very sound, very practical, logical advice because I was so intoxicated and so actually removed from myself and from my life that I was just like trudging along, doing what I could, trying to see straight, trying to walk straight, trying to not slur my words. And it was like I was putting so much of this extra effort to appear this way because I was intoxicated. So then when I got sober, you know, what I had found, especially for the first 3 years, I was still like cranking, like I was just still full throttle, workaholic, going hard, except now I was going even harder because I was actually sober, and the things that I was doing before in my addiction, when I was intoxicated, now seems too easy. So then I had to push harder. And The thing about workaholism and this type of addiction to work is that nobody will really call you out on it, because overall it tends to benefit them, right? All of a sudden you have more money, all of a sudden you're doing well at your job, so they're making a greater profit, things are getting done, and I'm over here just kind of like spinning my wheels, work, and I'm like, there came a point when I was actually, when in 2022, when everyone started dying, where I was like, oh, I actually immensely can no longer keep up this pace. Honestly, it made me incredibly sick in a lot of ways, and I had to prioritize my grief and my healing. And that's when I realized, oh, I can just work at a normal pace. I can really just pull off getting away with what my bare minimum is actually just the standard for everyone else. And that's not to say that I was like so good at all these things. That's just to say that I had a skewed perception of what should come easily to me. And honestly, I thought that if something came easily to me, I didn't deserve it, or it wasn't good. And so I had to really struggle. I thought that in order to have anything worthwhile, or to have earned anything worthwhile, I needed to have struggled for it. And so it took, I mean, I'm honestly, just over the last 2 years, I've deprogrammed myself from that a lot. And there are certain things that will come more naturally. There are certain things that won't. And for me, I sit and reflect in prayer sometimes, and asking for God's will to be done, and for me to be able to have the discernment to see what God's will is in certain situations. If I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels trying to push something to make something happen, because I'm like, nope, I'm kind of just programmed, things need to be hard, and if this is hard, so I'm gonna get it done, versus actually it doesn't have to be that hard. Maybe this thing just isn't for me, or maybe this came too easily, and can I embrace this and still find the worthiness in that? It really just seemed like so much of my life in my alcoholism was knowing that things were going to be difficult and just being prepared for that. And then when I got sober, so many things were not that difficult after all. And then kind of feeling like no, when's the other shoe gonna drop? What else is gonna happen? Something's gonna come in and like mess this up. And it's like, no, that's actually, most people exist like this. Actually, they don't have their wheels constantly turning about, okay, I'm gonna have to do this, just to juggling all these things just in order to maintain an appearance or maintain some sense of like normalcy, right? I was working a lot harder in my alcoholism because I needed to, until I couldn't, and then that kind of escaped, and then the jig was up. Then we all knew that I had an alcoholism problem when I was in jail, and I couldn't maintain appearances anymore. And then now in sobriety, being like, if I want something, it must be difficult to get if it's worthy of my time, or if I'm worthy of it. Nothing that I want will come easily. And it's like, no, actually, things do come easily. So actually a lot of things do. And again, I can still be worthy of them, and they can still be worthy things. Just because I didn't have to fight and struggle for them doesn't make them less valuable, or doesn't make me less valuable, right? And so I encourage you to look at some things in your life and like, what are you do? Actually, I think that is, I'm not unique in this. Yeah, the action is actually, what 3 or 4 things do you do that make your life harder than they need to be? I'm trying to think of 3 or 4 things. Sometimes it's just my own inertia. Sometimes it's not taking the step to like go to an in-person meeting. I know that I always feel good when I go to an in-person meeting. And I know I'm kind of learning how important community is to me. I met with somebody recently, and she was telling me like, yeah, the community is a big part of who you are, and you are naturally drawn to them. And I was like, that's weird, because I don't really see myself in that way. But then I was like, oh wait, these things that are very important to me that do tend to take up most of my day, they are all community driven things. So yeah, I guess that does make sense. And so I'm realizing that in community, I feel more as a whole person, and I make it difficult on myself by not going to things that I know will fulfill me, right? My planner, I know that I love a planner. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that your girl loves a planner over here. And so I got a planner here, and I used to have this really beautiful routine of waking up, prayer and meditation, reflecting on my day, surrendering my day over to God, getting some exercise, getting some breakfast, and then getting into work, right? And believe it or not, even though I've been working from home since 2020, I can't believe that actually, but yeah, that's how long I've been working from home. I did not realize how much flexibility I actually have in my schedule. And so I was making my schedule really difficult, but then I went from having this very strict, stressful schedule at home that nobody else was maintaining, just myself, to being super over the top, just lax on my day by day. This is kind of where I'm stuck now, just devolving into, like, I don't know, every day is a little bit different. I don't really have a set schedule. I kind of wake up when I wake up. I don't have a dog to walk anymore. So now I'm trying to incorporate exercise in other ways. I just joined a gym, which I'm really excited about. Now I'm not door dashing all my meals. Now I'm actually cooking for myself. And I'm like, okay, how do I incorporate that into a day? And like, I know that this sounds like elementary stuff, you guys. And there's gonna come a time where I just can't use the excuse that I was an alcoholic, that I should just know how to do these things. But I lost 10 years of my life to this alcoholism, where a lot of people were learning to do these things for themselves in like a very normal and routine way. And I've only found very difficult ways to make this stick as part of my routine. So I'm trying to find like a natural flow, and scheduling that in is part of my routine, and making sure that I'm not forgetting things and arriving on time to things. Another thing is like my savings account, my finances right now. I really want to see my savings at a certain place, and it ain't getting there. And I'm making things difficult by making excuses around my budgets. I'm not even that much of a shopper, honestly. I love buying things for other people. I like to buy stuff that I think will make my life easier. I just bought an air fryer, which I'm very excited about, and it was on sale, so I'll give myself that. But you know, I'm a lot less impulsive in my purchases, but I'm still always like, why isn't my savings where it needs to be? And it's like, well, maybe it's because I keep buying all this other stupid little crap that I'm not actually needing. Or I'm, you know, I was door dashing a lot too. So things like that are making things more difficult for myself, where, hey, maybe if I just followed the plan that I had for myself, for my day, for my money, for my fitness, for my spiritual life, like, things will work out. I just have to get into this set schedule of doing these things and give myself some flexibility with it, right? So I'm going to read this again. And then you go ahead and let me know in the comments what you get out of it. So January 11th, and again, this is from the Keep It Simple book. If there's a harder way of doing something, someone will find it. Ralph E. Ross. When we used alcohol or other drugs, we did most things the hard way. We could turn a simple task into a day-long project. We could turn a simple problem into an argument. We were creative giants in doing things the hard way. We need to change this. We deserve easier lives. It's okay to take the smooth road. In our program, we have slogans for this. Keep it simple, let go and let God. First things first, and easy does it. These slogans remind us that it's okay to live with as little trouble as possible. Prayer for the day. God, show me how to live a simple life. I don't have to do everything the hard way if I listen better to you. Action for the day. I'll list 3 or 4 things I do that make my life harder than it needs to be. I'll share them with a friend. Another thing, by the way, that I do that makes my life harder is not asking for help when I need it. You know, I have wonderful people around me all the time with whole encyclopedias of knowledge contained within their vessel of a body, and I can just be over here in struggle mode trying to figure out how to, I don't know, say cook chicken, but I don't even like chicken, so I wouldn't be cooking it. But let's say I wanted to cook a chicken. I wouldn't know how to cook it. So I would have to, like, yeah, I probably have struggles with it. Like, I could also just ask my friend to like watch me cook it while I'm on FaceTime or something. Like, I have people who have this knowledge. So it's not that difficult to ask for help. I mean, it can be difficult to ask for help, but it's even more difficult not to. So, all right. I hope that that was helpful. Leave a comment. I missed you guys. I'm so sorry. I got so behind on the videos. I'm going to try doing these again daily. All right. I hope you're having a good day. Bye.